everyone, it's Bethany. In this video, we are learning all about Cricut's new feature in Design Space called Offset. And not only am I going to teach you everything that I know about Offset, but I'm also going to show you 8 different crafts that will inspire how you use this new feature. One of the most important things I wanted to do in this tutorial was not only teach you about the new offset feature, but I also really wanted to show you what you can really do with it. Because it's really cool to know what a feature is and how it functions, but it's even better to know what kind of crafts you can do with it just to spark some more creativity. While I am going to show you how I create these designs in Design Space and how to assemble them together, I am going to save some time by skipping the weeding and cutting portions of this tutorial because I have so many tutorials on how to do that. So if you need help on learning a little bit more about how to weed vinyl or how to cut things out on your machine, I will place a list of really great tutorials in the description box of this video for you to go watch. All right, let's get started. We're going to be making t-shirts, tumblers, keychains, and so much more, and I'm so excited to teach you all about offset. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into offset. It is actually really addicting, and once you see how easy it is to do and what it's capable of, then it really opens up all of the opportunities for crafting. And that is the whole point of this tutorial, is to show you all of the ways you can use offset and then show you a couple ideas really fun to use offset on. So I'm going to start with this craft. We're going to go ahead and put this file on the front of a notebook, and I want to go ahead and add an offset to this. So I did purchase this file. This is an SVG from Design Bundles. I'll place a link in the description box of this video in case you want to purchase it yourself. It's really, really cute. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to come over here. They are all separate from one another, so I'm just going to really quickly attach them together. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is I am going to add an offset. So I'm going to come up to offset. It's right at the top of the screen in this top bar, and I'm simply going to click it. Now, by clicking it, you can see automatically that it has added a little shadow layer, and because it's just the blue line, it's just a preview. So it's adding a little preview of the shadow layer that it will apply behind our design. So it automatically defaults to 0.25. You can either increase that by going to the right. So as you push that little circle towards the right, it increases the shadow layer and makes that thicker. By taking it down to the left, it will make that thinner. So you can decide based on the craft you're doing, based on your visual preference, what you would like to do. So I think I'm going to go right about, actually I want to make that just a little bit thinner. Right about there. Okay, so I like how that looks. Now there are a couple other options that you can do. There's a rounded corner, which is it's self-explanatory. The edges are more in a corner or a rounded edge, and then there is more of a pointed or sharp edge. So you can also determine which one is best appropriate for your project. There's also a button called Weld Offsets. If you do not click this, then what it does is it actually places an offset around each and every layer. So because this is 3 layers, it's going to place an offset around crafters, and then another offset around the second word, gonna, and then again another offset around the word craft. So it will go ahead again and place an offset around each layer that you have in that file. Now I'm not really sure of when I would use this. I'm sure there are times when it's possible that I would like that, but I feel that I'm probably going to have weld selected for the most part. So I'm going to go ahead and click that back on. Again, it goes ahead and creates an entire offset around my entire image and welds them together. So once I am happy with the offset and the thickness that I want, all I have to do is select apply on my design. Okay, so now what I want to do is I actually want to edit my offset just a little bit because I really liked the thickness that was on my offset, but it went ahead and added an offset in the insides as well. So what I want to do is I'm going to select my offset. It is now a separate layer from my design, and I'm going to come down to contour, and all I'm going to do is say hide all contours. And what that does is it takes all of those little pieces and it removes them. You can also go through and just click on them individually to remove them, but I find it easier just to hide all contour, and then again you're left with just your outer bubble here. So then I can click out and you can see that it removed all of those little pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go down to my canvas down at the bottom of the layers panel, and I'm going to change that pink for the next part because I want to show you how to color code. Okay, so it'll just be easier to see visually if I change that canvas color. So now again, my offset layer is separate from my design. So I can go ahead and color that a different color if I'd like, simply by clicking on the offset. I'm going to come up to my color box, and I am going to actually cut this first offset out of a white vinyl, so my background offset will be white, and then I'm going to select my words by clicking them in the layers panel, and I'm going to cut those out of a holographic vinyl, and so I'll just make that a purple, and then I'll know to add my holographic vinyl for that. Now another thing is, because they are separate layers, when you go to size them, they are going to be sized separately from one another. So I'm going to go ahead and say back because I want to make sure that it's back where it originally was. And there are two things you can do. You can either select both of them just by dragging over both of the images, and then you can size them. Or you can select both and then come up to group and just group them together. That way they are all together for sizing. Okay, and it's really important because you want to make sure that everything is proportionate to one another with your offset and your inner design. Okay, so now I'm going to size this. This first little offset design I'm going to put on the front of a little notebook, so it'll be a really fun little notebook idea. Okay, so I love this. And then for all of my projects today, I'm going to use my Cricut Explore Air 2, so then I can go ahead and select Make It. And as you'll see, it's going to place my offset on one mat, and then it's going to place my design on another mat. Then I can go ahead and say continue, and then I will make my material selections based on the project I'm doing. So I'm going to set my first mat to premium vinyl, and my second mat I will use the premium vinyl setting. So I'll go ahead and get this cut out, and we will apply our first little offset design to our project. Okay, so I have all of my pieces already weeded. Now for the sake of time for this tutorial, I'm not going to demonstrate how to cut out the designs or weed them because I have over 200 videos on my channel on how to do just that. So if you need help cutting your vinyl or weeding your vinyl, be sure to reference any of my other videos. But I am going to show you how I'm going to get this applied to my notebook. So I'm just going to place my little offset on a notebook, and what I will do is grab a piece of transfer tape. I'll link all of the materials that I use in the description box below the video in case you really like any of the products that you see. So I'll just scrape that down, and I like to scrape the front and back of my vinyl because it really just helps bring it up off of that carrier cutting sheet when it's time to peel it up. So I'm just going to peel that up just like that, nice and slow. Okay, and we are all set. Now to apply this to my offset, I'm just going to grab my mat, and I'm going to place my little offset piece on my mat just to keep it steady. And then I can hover over my offset and just place that on there. Now you can also use the parchment paper method if you need help layering your vinyl. I have a video all about that, but it's just a really simple alignment, so I think I will do just fine just doing it by eye. Okay, so then I have all of that together, and let's scrape the back down. Now I will pull up both my offset and my holographic vinyl together off of my cutting sheet and bring it over to my little notebook. So I can just center that where I would like it. Now the transfer tape does dull the holographic vinyl, so you will see how fun that is in just a moment. But right now it's hard to see the difference between the white and the holographic. So I'll go ahead and get that all scraped down and then peel that up, and then you can really see the difference. Okay, and then especially when you kind of move it around. So there is one idea for how you can use offset. It's a really wonderful way to really bring a little more visual interest to a design. So having a little offset background on the back just makes it that much more fun, but I love how that turned out. Okay, let's move on to our next craft and learn a little bit more about offset. So in the first craft, we learned that we can apply an offset to an SVG, and now in this craft, we are going to learn how to apply an offset to a text that we create. So I'm going to come over to the text box and select that. I'm using the font Kate's ABC's Baby Girl, and I'm going to just type in my monogram. Okay, so there are a couple things we're going to talk about for this craft. Now, as you can see, this font is a double layer font, meaning you can turn on the second layer and have an outline. So you're probably wondering why I would even apply an offset to this, since there is an option to have a shadow layer on the back, but I will show you how they are different. So what I'm going to do is set one to the side, and I'll duplicate this so we can see the difference in just a moment. Okay, so for this one over here, what I'm going to do is delete that second layer just by clicking delete, and then I'm going to edit this to create my monogram. So I'm going to come up to ungroup. That ungroups my letters so they all stand apart from one another. I'm going to go ahead and make my bigger middle initial, and then I'll place that right in the center where I visually like that. And then I can go ahead, and once I have everything where I'd like it, I can select everything, and the most important thing here is to weld them all together. Okay, so that is all welded together. I'm going to unlock this just because I like my monogram to be a little bit elongated. Okay, and now we are ready to add our offset. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my monogram. I'm going to again come up to offset and click on offset. It automatically will place those blue lines as a little visual of where the offset will be placed. Then I can edit that. I like mine to be a little bit thinner, so I'm going to go ahead and do it just like that. I think that looks really nice, and then I will say apply. Okay, so there is my final offset. Now, they are different because this offset is going around all of my letters, and it's making one really nice image, whereas this is just a background and a shadow layer to each individual layer. So I just wanted to show you how those two are different, because there are double layer fonts, but they are visually different from an actual offset. So I'll go ahead and delete that. Now again, we can go ahead and grab our offset layer. We can come down to contour if we want to remove that inside of the D that's cut out, and then that is removed like that, which I do think that looks a little bit better. Okay, so for my offset layer, I'm going to select that. I'm going to make that out of a pattern vinyl, so I'll just make that pink for a moment, and then I'm going to place a darker pink on my actual letters. So I'll go to advanced and just drag that up. And it's important to actually tell your Cricut which colors to do, because then it will place them on the correct mats, and it just makes cutting a little bit more simple. Okay, so I am going to place this on a keychain. So I'm going to go to my shapes, and I'm just going to replicate the size of my keychain, which is roughly about 2 inches. So I just changed my size to 2 inches, and then I'm going to go ahead and send this all the way to the back so I can place my design on top. Now remember, you want to select both your offset layer and your design so that you can size them together. And I'm just going to bring them onto my keychain and size them where I would like that. Okay, that looks good to me. I can delete the circle because it was just for sizing purposes. Now, if at any point I'm going too fast for you, make sure you just pause and rewind any sections that you need. Now I can go ahead and say make it, and then it will place my designs on each mat. The next screen, I can make my material selections for each mat, and I'll get these cut out. Okay, so I have my little acrylic keychain here, and it's important to note that there is a little protective film on the front and I believe the back. So I'm just going to remove, yes, the back as well. Remove those pieces so I can place my vinyl on the actual acrylic and not the little protective piece. Okay, so let's grab my mat just to give a little bit more contrast, although I'm not sure that's going to offer as much as we need. But I am going to then take my design and begin layering my offset. So I have my little monogram here. Okay, so I have my little pink layer here, and I'm just going to place that over my offset. And my offset layer is a little kind of watercolor marble vinyl, which is really pretty. And I will go ahead and scrape both of those down. That way they meet perfectly. We'll do a little assurance on the back. And then bring that off. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and just place that right on my keychain here and line that up. I'm not too worried about applying a rubbing alcohol to that, just because I did just take a protective layer off of that, so it should be nice and clean, but you can apply some rubbing alcohol to that if you would like to. Okay, just like that, and I will take off my transfer tape, and then I have a cute little keychain with my little offset, which looks really, really fun. Okay, so I have my little tassel and my keychain all attached, and there is the final look. I think that's super cute. Now you can put your tassel wherever you'd like. I liked it up on that top ring just because it doesn't fall into the design and distract from it and cover it up. So I really like how that turned out. Super, super cute. Let's go ahead and hop into Design Space and do our next craft and learn a little bit more about offset.
Okay, so for this craft, I am going to show you how you can do a really fun little greeting card with creating an offset and just add some visual interest and have fun with a little bit of pattern vinyl. So I'm going to use this SVG. I just found it in the images section of Design Space by typing in hello, and it was just one of the options. So I'm going to put this on a card. So I'm going to make my card base really quickly for visual purposes like I always do. So I'll come over to shapes and add a square. I will unlock my square and make the width 5.5 and the height 4.25. Okay, so there is my nice card, and then I will bring my design to the front. I am going to be doing a nice pale yellow card, so I'll just make that a yellow color, and then I'm going to add my offset. So what I will do is come up to offset once again. Simply by clicking on it, you will see that a little offset preview shows up. I'm going to again make that a little bit thinner, just like that. I like that, and when I'm happy with it, I can say apply. Okay, so now I have my offset. Then I can go ahead and tell it what colors I'm going to cut it out on. So I am going to cut my offset out of a white cardstock, so I'll just make that white, and it's a little hard to see, so let me bring that over onto my card. And then for my actual image, I will put that out of a pattern vinyl, so I will just make that any old color just so it places it on another mat, because that will be two separate cut settings. Then again, I'm going to make sure I have both of my layers selected. You can do that by holding down the command button on your keyboard to select more than one layer, or again just highlighting both of these layers at the same time. So I will size that for my card. I think that looks just about right. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to hide my yellow layer because I just wanted that to visually help me for sizing purposes, and click the eye to hide that. Then again, I'm using my Explorer 2. I will say make it. It shows me my two mats that I have. I'll say continue, and then I will do a cardstock material setting for my first offset, and then for my design I will use a vinyl setting.
Okay, so I actually changed my mind, and instead of using vinyl, I went ahead and used this adhesive back paper that I have for my Cricut Joy. And I wanted to use the adhesive back paper setting for cutting out, but for some reason it wasn't allowing me to select that. So I just used the medium cardstock setting, and it did a great job of cutting just the paper and leaving the background sheet. So I'm just going to weed that really quickly. I love the adhesive back paper. It was actually a material that when it first came out, I was really stumped on what to use it for, but it really is fun for card making. So I'm just going to weed around the inner, and then just like I would with infusible ink, I'm just going to really quickly with my fingers go in the middles and grab out all of my middle layers. Okay, so I have my little hello piece on a fun little pattern, which is really nice. And now I can place it on my little offset. So again, I cut my little offset out of just regular white medium cardstock. And what I think I will do is I will just grab a little piece of my design right here and start laying it down on my little offset. And I'll just take it a little bit at a time. Okay, so once I have a little piece on there, I can just go ahead and remove the rest from my little paper, and then I can just apply the rest down on my little offset, and it looks so cute. Okay, easy enough. You can do any method. That seemed easiest to me, and it was successful, so yay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little bit of pop dots behind my offset. And that's a really fun idea for card making, doing the offset, because it gives you a bigger and sturdier base if you want to create some dimension with some pop dots, because it's a little bit hard to create dimension on that really thin hello that we put out of the adhesive back paper. That's really thin and it's hard to hide pop dots. But then once you have that offset behind there, you have a really thick base to add some layering to. Okay, so I have all my little pieces off the back, and now I can just add my little design to my card wherever I'd like it. Now I kept this card pretty simple just for making the offset be the showcase, but how cute is that? Then there's a little bit of layering. It's really fun. It gives it some dimension. It gives it some dimension both with the offset and then with the pop dots, but I think that's a really fun way to utilize the new offset feature. All right, let's move on to another craft.
Okay, so we've done a few crafts on offset, so let's switch gears for just a second and talk about inset. So let's select this little bunny, and the first thing I want to do is I want to contour out his little bunny tail, just because I'm going to do something a little different for this design. So while cute, I'm not going to use it for this particular project. So I have my little bunny outline. I did find him in the images section of Design Space by typing in bunny. His name is just Bunny for a file name. Okay, so now what we can do is we can come up to offset. Actually, let me make my bunny a little bit of a mint. Okay, so now I'm going to select my bunny and I'm going to come up to offset, and instead of doing an offset, I am going to do an inset. So I'm going to go to the left and I am going to actually make an inside line inside of my bunny. So you'll see a little blue line that has appeared inside of the bunny called an inset. I like how that looks. You can again keep adjusting either left or right to make the inset a little bit bigger or smaller, but I like how that looks right there. So then I will go ahead and say apply. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to select my inset that was just created. I'm going to come up to operation type and I am going to say foil. Then I can pick the tip that I want to use. We're going to do a little bit of foiling, and I will say I'm going to use the bold tip. So now what we've done is we have taken an outline of a design, we've created an inset, and we are now going to foil this little gold line that we see with our foil sheets. So I will show you exactly how to do that. So we have our base cut, which is just that mint layer. Then we have our foil, which is that little gold layer, and we are all ready to go. So I have this already sized for my card. So really quickly, I'm going to select both my foil layer and my cut layer, and I'm going to attach them together. That way my foil is going to be drawn in exactly the place that I have it on the screen here. Then I can go ahead and say make it. It will place it on a mat right here. I can say continue, and then I will tell it what material I'm using. So I am using a very heavy cardstock, so I will say heavy cardstock and say done. Then it will tell me what materials I will need. I will need my bold tip, which again has the 3 lines. If you need a tutorial all about the foil tips, I will place one in the top right-hand corner of this video. But again, we're going a little quickly through this tutorial because it's all about offset. So again, I'll grab my foil tool with the bold tip. I will grab some foil sheets and we will get started.
Okay, so I do have my foil tool here with the bold tip installed. Again, the bold tip has the 3 lines on it. Again, as a reminder, I do have a full-length tutorial on how to use this foiling system, so be sure you either look that up or check out the description box below. Again, for this tutorial, we are just going real quick because we're focusing on offset instead. So we are going to place that into clamp B, and then I have a piece of gold foil cut to size just to cover the area where it is going to draw out my bunny, and I'm going to take some of the tape that comes with the foil and I'm going to secure that down really nicely so that the foil is nice and secure on that cardstock. Also being mindful that I do not place any tape over the areas that the foil tip will be running because I don't want it to disrupt the foil tip. I did also place my pressure to more in Design Space, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so now I am all set. Again, my foil tool is in clamp B, so I can load my mat and then I can press go. Okay, now my foil tool is placing pressure where we created the inset on the bunny. Okay, so now my screen is prompting me to not unload my mat, but to remove the foil. So I'm going to very carefully just remove my foil piece. There we go. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open clamp B, remove my foil tip, and then I will place my fine point blade into clamp B. Then I can go ahead and press go to resume. So now my blade is cutting around the original outline of the bunny. Okay, so it's all done. I can go ahead and unload. Then I'm going to place my mat upside down and just gently remove my little bunny. And now we will assemble our little card. Okay, so now I have my card base. Then I also have a little pretty piece of patterned scrapbook paper that I'm going to attach right to the front. And I'm going to do that with just a little glue stick, and feel free to use whatever adhesive that you like. I am just going to use this because it gets the job done. And then I'll place that right on the front of my card, just like so. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little bunny that we created the little inset for with the foil, and then I'm going to just turn him over really quick, and I'm going to add some pop dots to add a little dimension to my card. Now I'm keeping this card really simple just because we're focusing on offsets. You can of course add another additional sentiment to this, but I'm just going to do the little bunny because I'm a little bit more simplistic in my designs anyway, and honestly this is just perfect for me. So feel free to add or take away anything that you'd like, but I'm going to just go ahead and put this little bunny on real quick, and then we'll add a little cottontail. Okay, so I have my little pop dots on the back, and then I'm just going to place this cute little bunny right in the middle here. So cute, add some fun dimension. And then I have a little cottontail that I will place right on the bunny. So cute. And then it has really fun dimension, plus it has a lot of fun texture because of the foil. So I really like how that turned out. Another way to use the offset feature by creating an inset. Okay, let's hop back into Design Space and we will keep working on some offset crafts.
Okay, so let's go ahead and focus on creating another inset again, just to give you another idea and help spark your creativity for using the inset feature. So what I'm going to do is come over to the text box right over here, and I am going to type in a B. I'm going to create a little coffee mug with my monogram on it, or just my first initial, and I am going to exit out of my previous font, and I am going to use the font Arial Rounded. So it says Arial Rounded MT Bold. Okay, so there's my B. What I'm going to do is I'm going to size that to 2 inches tall, and I'm just sizing that for my particular mug. And then I am going to come up to offset, and again I'm going to do an inset. So I am going to drag it to the left, just like that, and I'm going to stop right about there. Then I'm going to say apply, and again it's going to give me an inside piece. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to select both. So I have both my inset that I created plus my original B, and I'm going to come down and slice. So now I can take away my slice result, delete it, and then I'm left with a fun little outline. And I think this is a fun little text outline. You could create fun shirts with this and create all sorts of letters. I think that would be really fun and visually pleasing. But for this sake, I'm going to create a little coffee mug. So now I have it all sized how I'd like. I can say make it. I'm going to cut this out of pink vinyl instead of black. But since I'm not using more than one color, I didn't worry about color coding, just because I know I'm only inserting one mat into my machine. So I'll say continue. I will use the premium vinyl setting, and then we'll get this applied.
Okay, so I'm just weeding my design very quickly here and revealing that pretty design and outlined layer that was created by using the Inset feature, which again is just the offset feature but going in the opposite direction. Okay, so here is my final little file, so cute. I have it going on a really pretty glass coffee mug. Again, I'll link everything that I'm using in the description box because these are amazing. They are such good quality, so I got a big pack of them. So I am going to really quickly place a little bit of rubbing alcohol onto my surface just to prep the surface, make sure that it is nice and clean and oil and dirt free to help my vinyl stick down really nicely. Okay, now I have some transfer tape. I'm going to place that over my design and scrape it down, front and back. And then I'm going to just make sure that my coffee mug is all ready to go. I like just to place something under the handle so that it just helps me steady it while I place my vinyl on. Remove that carrier sheet and place this in position where I would like it, giving myself enough room to sip out of the top. Okay, and then I'll lay that right down and scrape it down just to remove any potential bubbles. And then I'll remove my transfer tape, and I have a really fun design that was very simply created. So of course there are fonts that are already done like this, but I wanted to show you how to do this because if you had a particular font that you really love that does not have an outline, then you can easily take any font that you like and easily create a little inset to create this little outline feature. But I think that looks so cute. I love it. Okay, let's switch gears and do an iron-on project. I really want to show you how I can use the offset feature to create a really fun t-shirt.
Okay, so again, we're going to make a t-shirt next. So I'm going to first come over to images, and I am going to type in Idaho because Idaho is actually where I'm originally from. So I thought it would be really fun to create a little Idaho t-shirt for myself. So I'm going to use this outline of Idaho. Now there's so many fun ones. I love this. And then I also really love this floral one. But for the sake of this design visually, just a basic outline is going to be best. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. Then I can go ahead and insert my image into my canvas, and I'm actually going to start by just sizing this for my shirt. So I know I want this to be about 8.5 inches tall. That should be about right. And then I'm going to go ahead and make this pink because I'm going to cut this out of a really fun pink pattern vinyl. And again, this will be heat transfer vinyl or iron-on. And this is another reason why I also wanted a basic outline is because I'm going to be using a really fun patterned HTV, and I think it will be much better to have a solid shape to use it on. Now I'm going to come over to text, and I am using the font called Falling Leaves Print. I purchased this font in a bundle from Design Bundles, and I love this bundle because the fonts are so neat and I use them all the time. So I'll be sure to link that below as well in case you love these fonts. So I'll grab that and I will go ahead and say home. Then I will take my word and I'm going to go ahead and size it on my already sized state. And I like how that looks just about there. So now I'm going to take it off once more. I will come up and then I will apply my offset. Again, making sure that whatever you are doing an offset on is selected. So in this case, I want to apply an offset to my words. So I'm going to make sure that that is selected before I come up to offset. So coming up to offset, I will go ahead and note the actual preview that it gives me. I'm not sure I like it that thick, so I'm going to just bring that down a little bit, just like so. And then when I like how it looks, I'll say apply. So now I have my offset. Now I don't want to do any resizing now because I have everything sized how I'd like. However, I'm going to take my words off and then place my offset onto my state really quickly. Okay, and then I'm going to just place that where I would like it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my state and my offset, and I'm going to slice. Now you can only slice 2 layers at a time, which is why I'm only working with my offset over here. Then I can go ahead and come down and say slice, and then I can remove my offset, and then I'm left with a little cutout in my state. So I'm actually not going to use these offsets, but what I did was I created an offset around my words in order to create a little area within my design to place my words. I like to do this on shirts because I like to have all of my HTV or iron-on physically touching the shirt instead of layering it. And then also I think this will be visually really pleasing to have a little outline in there. So I'm going to cut out my words from a different color, and it's going to be a brighter pink. So what I'll do is select my words, and I will come up to my color box, select the pink, go to advanced, and just brighten that up a little bit to make sure that it's just different than the other one. That's starting to look red, and it's not that it matters or anything, but we want that to be a little bit pinker. Okay, no worries. Okay, so now what it's going to do is, because those are two separate colors, it will place it on two mats. So now I can go ahead and say make it. Now because I'm working with iron-on or HTV, there are two terms for the same thing. I need to mirror each mat. So I'm going to come up to the home mat, click mirror, then I'm going to come up to the Idaho State mat and then click mirror. So both mats are mirrored, and then I'm going to say continue. Then I will make my material selections. So for the first one, it's just going to be everyday iron-on. The second will be a patterned iron-on. Okay, so I will go ahead and make sure I change that when it comes time to cutting my second mat, and we will get this shirt created.
Okay, so I have my t-shirt that I'm going to be placing this design on, and I'm going to really quickly just do a little lint roll here, just make sure that there's nothing on my shirt. And then I have my EasyPress preheated to 340 degrees. I'm going to do a quick preheat of my material to make sure there's no moisture and to remove any wrinkles. I did pre-wash my shirt. I like to pre-wash and dry my shirts before I do any iron-on. So that's also removing any wrinkles from my dryer. Okay, and now I'm going to just place my design right on my shirt. Okay, so I like how that looks right there. So now I am going to press it at 340 degrees for 30 seconds and click go. And then I'm using firm pressure. Okay, that has been enough time. So then I will go ahead and remove my press. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my heat press mat from underneath. And that allows the material just to cool down a lot quicker because this is going to be a cold peel. So placing that on a cold surface just helps speed up that cooling down process. And I am also going to take my EasyPress and I am going to bump down the temperature to 315 so that I can do my everyday iron-on. Okay, so that is cool to the touch, so then I can go ahead and peel my liner up, monitoring all of my edges to make sure everything has laid down really, really nicely. That looks good. And then I will go ahead and place this right back on my heat mat. And then we'll get our next little layer on here. So now I'm going to take my little home. I'm just going to place it right inside that little area that we created by doing an offset and then slicing out the offset. How cute is that? Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Okay, now I'm just waiting for my EasyPress to cool down a little bit because the everyday iron-on requires a cooler temperature than the patterned iron-on. Okay, so my EasyPress has cooled off. I'm going to place this heat protective mat over my design because my Idaho shape is now exposed iron-on and I do not want to place my heat press onto exposed iron-on. So that is just going to protect my press and protect the iron-on to place that protective barrier. You can also use parchment paper as well. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and just press this again, and this time it will be 30 seconds with light pressure. And then once this is done on this side, I will flip my entire shirt around and press for an additional 15 seconds on the back. Okay, that side is done. Now I can remove the protective mat. Now this is very hot, so you'll just be really careful when removing that. Set that to the side, turn over the entire shirt, and then I will do the additional 15 seconds to the back. Okay, this has cooled, so I will go ahead and take my liner and just remove it, making sure that I monitor everything. If there's any areas that are peeling up, then you can just place your liner back over, again covering all of your exposed HTV or iron-on, and then add some additional heat. Okay, so that looks good. That's the final shirt. Another fun idea for how you can get creative with using the offset feature to really make your designs even more fun. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and pop back into Design Space. We have a couple more crafts and they are really fun.
Okay, so let's go ahead and make a tumbler because tumblers are so fun and they are a really fun way to use offset as well, but we are going to create a double offset for this. So let's get fun and let's get pink. So what we're going to do is we are going to add our text. We're going to use the same font as last time because I just love it so much. So again, Falling Leaves print. It will be in the description box below in case you'd like to purchase it as well. It's really, really a good all-around text. And then I'm going to just type out my name and we are all set. Okay, so let's make this bigger so we can really see our offset here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with my name selected, come up to offset and let's see, here's the offset preview like we've mentioned before. I am going to make that thinner because again, I'm going to do a double offset here. So let's do right about here. Okay, so let's apply the offset. Okay, and then let's select the offset, come down to contour because I want to remove this little bubble right here. So I'm going to contour that out. Again, I'm just simply going to say hide all contours. It just leaves the main offset. Select out and then it's gone. Okay, so now I want to create a second offset. So I'm going to do that by clicking on my offset that I created. I'm going to come up to offset and then you'll see that it creates an offset around the offset. And I actually really like, let me see if I can thin that out just a little bit, but I like where that's at. Okay, I think I like that a little bit better. So I just move that to the left a little bit. I'm going to select apply and I have my second offset. So it's really fun. It's going to make a really fun visual interest on my tumbler. So now let's make this really colorful and pink. So I'm going to take my first layer, which is my name. I'm going to come up to the color box and I'm going to make that pink. With my second layer, which is my first offset that I created, I'm going to come and make that a darker pink. And then with my final offset, which is the final outward layer, I'm going to make that a lighter pink. So selecting the pink and then coming down and just dragging that down a little bit. Okay, I think that's going to look really, really cute. So now I need to size it. Once again, these are all individual layers, so we need to select all of them at once so that we can size all of them at once. Or again, select all of them, group them together. That way we know they're grouped whenever we go to work with them. Okay, now I'm going to make this about 5.5 inches. And I think that's perfect. So then I can go ahead and say make it. It will place it on 3 separate layers because I color coded it for 3 different colors. I can say continue, and then I will use the premium vinyl setting for all 3 mats.
Okay, so I have my little skinny tumbler here and I'm going to apply a little bit of the rubbing alcohol once again, just to make sure that the surface is nice, clean, and prepped for the vinyl. It just helps it last a lot longer when there's no oil or dirt on the surface. Okay, so I will let that just go ahead and dry, and then I will bring my little offset layers in. So I have my final layer, or the piece that will be on the very bottom, then I have the piece that will go on next, and then I have my name. So I have all 3 layers all ready to go. So now I will grab some transfer tape. When you are doing layering projects like this, it's best to have a clear transfer tape. So again, as a reminder, everything will be linked in the description box below in case you want to know which products I really like. So I will go ahead and just select my transfer tape here, place it over my first layer that I need to move over, which is going to be my words. And then again, I like to scrape the front and the back really well. I get a lot of questions about how I'm able to easily remove my vinyl from the carrier sheet or cutting sheet, and it's simply by making sure I do that scraping on both sides. Now again, you can use the parchment paper method as well if you need help layering, but I think that this is going to be easy enough. And also by placing your layer on the mat, I don't really love doing this because I don't like risking like getting additional oils on my mats by working on them too much, but I am going to do it for projects like this where it's going to make a big difference. But I like to put it on the mat because sometimes if you don't and you just have it on a surface, it will, when you're trying to hover over it, the other piece tries to cling up to it. And so it's nice to have this nice and secure where it is so that you only have to worry about this top piece. So a little tangent there, but good takeaway. So I'll just place that where I would like it. Take my scraper, press down really, really nicely, and then I will remove this from my mat. Go ahead and scrape down the back. Okay, and then place it on my final layer. Okay, scrape it down, and then again, peel it from the mat. There we go. And then re-scrape the front, then the back. And then now my entire design with my double offset is all in one piece. And then I can transfer it over to my cup. So again, I'll just place my little mouse. My mouse comes in handy for all sorts of things. And then I'll place this right on my cup. Okay. I like to just start with my finger there and then go out towards the edge and then go back through with my scraper and really reinforce that pressure. Okay, this would also be fun with a pattern vinyl or a holographic vinyl. So really, I'm just showing you that the possibilities are seriously endless once you get the basics down with offset. So there we go. How cute is that? That is so fun. I love the double offset. It makes it so much more fun than it would have been if you just put your name on a tumbler. So it just really adds a lot of visual interest, plus it offers a lot of variety in color. Okay, so let's go ahead and make some stickers with offset.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start creating some stickers with offset, and stickers have become so much simpler now that offset is available in Design Space. Not only are they simpler, but we can also create some more complex shapes with our stickers much easier. So let's get started by going over to images, and we are going to select some images to convert into stickers. So I'm going to search for koala, and I'm going to see what pops up because I believe there's a image set that has some fun little koala and animal images, this right here, that I think will be fun candidates for stickers. So I'm going to select this little koala. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over this eye icon, and then I'm going to select that and say view image sets, and it's going to bring up the set of images that this koala was released with or that this koala is a part of. Then I can go through and I can just select all of the images that I want to create stickers out of, and there are so many cute ones. So I'll go ahead and just browse through here. How cute are these? Be kind. Okay, so I think that's good for the purposes of this. So I will go ahead and insert all of these images. So once they're selected, they build up in this little queue down here so that you can just click insert images one time, and all of the images that you've selected are now going to be placed in the canvas. It takes just a second because we did more than one selection, but then I will actually highlight all of them and just size them all down roughly at the same time here. Okay, so now we can individually create some stickers. So we can't cut stickers like this. This would be way too complicated and not what a sticker truly is. Okay, this would be better for vinyl or HTV, but we want to make some fun stickers. So now what we're going to do is let's do our little koala first. So I'm just moving these other pieces to the side, selecting my koala, and then I am going to click offset. Now you'll see they have the little offset preview already selected around there. I'm going to make that thinner because I think that's a little too thick. And that looks about right. So I can go ahead and say apply when I'm happy with that. That looks great. So now what I can do is select the offset. I like to select it in my layers panel. It's a little bit easier for me to see. And then I'm going to select my offset, and I want my stickers to be white in background. So I'll come up to this color box, select that, and then select white. So now what I'll do is I will make my canvas a different color so we can really see that offset. So I'm coming down to the bottom of my layers panel, selecting blank canvas, coming up to the color box, which is very much camouflaged up here. They really, really need to fix this. Selecting color, and then I'll just make my canvas a pink color. Okay, so now you can really, really see, let me go back because I just tweaked that just a little bit, but you can really see that little sticker there. So we have our little design, then we have an offset behind it that's going to really make that sticker a sticker. Okay, so now what I need to do to fully convert this to a sticker is I need to select my offset plus my design, and you'll see it all selected in your layers panel over here, and then I need to come over and flatten it. So watch real quick. Right now we have all of these layers, basic cut, basic cut, basic cut, basic cut. Now we have all of these layers. Once we select flatten, we see it up here as one single layer, and now it is called print then cut. Okay, so now this is going to be something that we print out on our printer. Then we will place through our Cricut to cut out. And our Cricut is going to cut out around this final white offset. Okay, so we are all set. I'm going to just move that to the side. I'll do one or two more for you just so that you can get the idea repetition-wise. So let's go ahead and convert this into a sticker. Again, we're starting with a cut file with multiple layers. We're going to come up to offset. It's going to give us a little preview of our default at 0.25 inches, but I'm going to make that a little bit thinner. Okay, and I like that thinness, and we will address the little gaps in a moment, but I'll say apply once I like that. Okay, looks good to me. Again, selecting my offset, I'm going to come up and make that a white color so that all my stickers match. Then with that offset still selected, come down to contour. I'm going to hide all contours, or select and click the areas I want to remove by either clicking them here or clicking them here. So I can do it here just to show you, and then it highlights the ones I want to remove. Then once I go out, then those are taken away. Okay, again, we have our B with 3 layers, our offset layer, but we want to now convert this to a sticker. So select all of them. We are now going to watch this go from cuts to a print then cut. So all of them are selected, come down, flatten them together. They are now one layer, and they are a print then cut layer. Now they are ready to be a sticker, and a cute sticker. Okay, so let's go ahead and do one more just so that you really can see that. Let's do the rainbow. Okay, rainbow is selected. Click on offset. Let's see, I actually really like how that is. Maybe just a tad thinner. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Okay, select apply, select my offset layer, come up to make that a white color, select all of my layers, the cut layers plus the offset layers, and flatten. Okay, so you can see that our layers panel is really simplifying over here. I will go ahead and do the other 3, and then we will go ahead and get these ready to print then cut. Okay, so let's look really quickly at this file because I want to do a simple reminder here, but it's something that can really trip you up if you aren't aware of it. So when you are working with a file that has multiple layers, so again, 1, 2, 3, you want to make sure you select the entire layer, so select the title before you do the offset. If you had one of the layers selected, so say you have this little flower selected, and then you come up to do the offset, it's only going to apply the offset to that single flower. Okay, so you do not want that. You want the entire image to be an offset. So again, select where the title is so that all of them are selected, and then come up to do your offset. And then see, everything will be then included within the offset. So I like how that looks. I'll say apply, and then again I will select my offset and I will come down and address that little gap in the middle. Okay, and then again make this white and then select everything and flatten. Okay, so that was just a really quick friendly reminder. I don't want that to confuse you if you didn't know about that. Okay, so I have all of my stickers ready to go. Now what I want to do is just bring them over to the side, and I am going to get them ready to print and cut. So when doing print and cut, there is a size restriction of 6.75 by 9.25. Now what I personally like to do, being mindful that not everybody likes to do it this way, but this is just how my mind works, is I like to go ahead and go over to the shape box, and I like to make a template for those size restrictions and then put my stickers on accordingly. It helps me get the most out of my material, and it's simply just my process for doing stickers. So again, the width is going to be 6.75, the height will be 9.25, and if you ever forget what those dimensions are, try taking a print and cut file, making it really big, and once you make it really big, you'll see an alert come up. You can hover over that alert and it will tell you right there what the image size restriction is. So again, 6.75 by 9.25. So I use that quite a bit because I can never remember. So what I do is usually just make my image intentionally way too big so that I can make that alert pop up and I can know what those dimensions are. Okay, so let's make our screen a little bit smaller here, and then we will start placing our stickers on our sheet here. Okay, so I'll just make my sticker sheet a blue. It doesn't really matter, but it will help when placing these stickers on here. Okay, so let's send this all the way to the back, and then I'm gonna size my stickers, and this is purely personal preference or based on what you are making them for, but I'm going to make them, let's see, maybe roughly less than 3 inches. So that looks about good. Actually, that looks a little big. So let's do 2. I'm going to make these for my daughter, so she'll probably want those a little bit smaller. I'll do about 2 inches on the long side. Okay, so I'm just going to start placing and sizing my stickers, taking advantage of all of the space that I have. And not all of them are going to be the same size, so I'm just going to visually size those roughly where I would like them, not worrying too much for my purposes on sizing. Okay, so because I don't want to waste all of this extra printable vinyl down here, I am going to just start copying and pasting by saying Command C, Command V, and that will copy and paste my designs so that I can get the most out of my sticker paper and just fill this page with as many stickers as I can. Okay, so that looks about good to me. I'm happy with that. So now I can take my template here and I'm just going to hide that. And what I want to do is I want to hover over all of my stickers and select all of them, and I want to attach them together because I want my Cricut to cut those in exactly the area that I have them on the screen. First of all, my printer will print them and then my Cricut will cut them. So I have my Cricut all selected here. I can say make it, and then you will see that all of the stickers are where I placed them, and then they are taking advantage of that entire sheet. Now we'll address this black registration box in just a second, but now we can go ahead and say continue. Okay, continue. And then I will send my images to the printer. So I'll click send to printer. I have my printer selected. I do not need bleed for this because I have a white border, so it's not going to matter. So I'll just go ahead and turn that off. And my printer will be linked in the description box below because I get a lot of questions about my printer. So it's all available for you in the description of this video. Then I will go ahead and load my printable vinyl into my printer and print this out.
Okay, so now that my printable vinyl has come off of my printer, I'm going to place it on my blue mat, and I'm going to do so with the black box around it. Now that's registration marks. That is so that my Cricut will know where to cut and locate my stickers within that box. So it's important that you keep that on your sheet. And I'm just using a brayer tool just so I can quickly get that down on my mat without rubbing the ink. and then I'll open my machine. Now, if you haven't calibrated your machine before, you'll want to do that before you do a print and cut project. Then I have the printable vinyl setting all selected in Design Space for my cut setting. And I have full tutorials on creating stickers with my Cricut, so please be sure you check those out because we are just going real quick through this. Okay, my stickers have been cut out, so now I can remove them from my mat, just like that. And then I like to personally, just to fluff them up at the very end, just take them and place them through my paper trimmer to remove that little black registration box. That way they're nice and cute and still on that paper really nicely. Okay, so now I have my little stickers. I can just peel them off and they are all ready to be applied to whatever I'd like. Okay, so that was our last craft. Let's go ahead and take a peek at everything we made today using offset. Okay, I think I have everything here, and I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial because I really had fun putting this together. And honestly, learning more about offset myself really sparked a lot of creativity in my craft room, so I really hope that this helps spark some creativity for you as well. So I hope this was helpful. Please be sure to let me know which was your favorite or if you learned anything new in this tutorial. So as a review, we decorated a notebook by creating a basic offset, and this was really fun with that holographic vinyl. And then we made a couple cards with two different techniques. So one was an offset, and then we also slid that bar to the other side and learned how to create an inset and learned how we can use the foil tool with this new feature to create some really neat outlines. Then we also made some stickers and learned how easy Offset has made creating stickers now. I can't believe how easy it is. Now we can turn basically any image into a sticker, and I'm really excited about that. We also did a cute little monogram for a keychain with Offset. Then we learned how to use Offset as a tool to use the slicing tool to create a little area within an image to really add some visual interest to a piece. So using Offset as a tool other than Offset was really helpful as well. And then we created a double offset on this tumbler, which I think turned out really fun, and you can really get creative with the vinyl choices that you have. And then last but not least, we did another inset to create a fun little outline with text. And this was really fun to show you that you can really get creative with a text of your choice. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you're as excited about Offset as I am because it's really fun, but I really wanted to take you on this journey with me because it really helped me learn a lot of new ways to craft, and I hope it did for you as well. All right, everyone, please give this a thumbs up if you learned anything new, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.